What's up, guys? Welcome
Hi,
back to the
guys.
Swole Mates podcast with Joe.
And Alyssa.
And this is episode 4.
Episode 4.
Crazy to think that we've done this for 4 episodes now.
I know. I feel like it's gone by really fast.
It has. Episodes 1 and 2 have done, honestly, really good on YouTube so far. I haven't checked Spotify or Apple playlists, so I hope you guys are running those ones up. But
Yeah, I honestly haven't checked Spotify either, so I don't know.
yeah, but I think so far so good. And I think we've talked about a lot of really good topics, but I think today's a very special episode because we're talking about
We're going to be talking about dating, and then, so dating in the gym and also dating a personal trainer.
yes, there's some drama and some tea going on TikTok that I was looking at last night, and I think it's definitely
Yeah.
something that we can kind of
He was
discuss.
telling about it while we were building Legos, and I was like, who's that? Who's that?
She's horrible with names. So like anytime I'm like, I'll say a name and I'll be like, oh yeah, like Jake. And she'll be like, who? And I'm like, like this person, so-and-so. And she'll be like, and she'll just like stare at me blankly. And then I'll be like, you literally saw him like 2 hours ago. Oh, his name's Jake. And I'm like, oh my gosh,
I don't know
babe.
why. I'm really horrible at remembering names, but I can remember faces for some reason.
Yeah, you're decent with faces, but like names is just
Names
horrible.
are just horrible because like they'll say their name and then in my head I picture them like as a different name.
Sometimes I'll be talking about like a client that I'm training or something like that, and I'll be like, oh, so-and-so did this. And she'll be like, who's that? And I'm like,
I don't say it like that.
You don't say it
I
like
how he
that,
says
but-
it with like attitude because I normally just have like.
I gotta
attitude.
exaggerate how your attitude.
He
It
really
fits the
does, but I'm
Latina
just
person.
Like, who's that? But I feel like it's because like my face talks for me.
Oh yeah,
like-
your face does a lot of talking. She has the worst resting bitch face. Actually, not the worst. There's other people that have worse resting bitch faces. I just exposed someone. No, sorry.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, let's talk about this drama first.
Yes.
Good as was it like
so
a
you
good
know
segment.
more about it than I do, so you just go in.
Okay. So basically, and I think we could say names because this is literally all over TikTok,
Yeah.
but a really, I wouldn't say like famous, but a really well-known TikToker, 1.3 million followers, Ryan Reed is his name. He's a personal trainer out in Scottsdale, Arizona, and he gained a lot of popularity. I saw a lot of his videos
Yeah.
more so in like 2020.
Yeah, I was
And
gonna
like 2021, like early on, and then he kind of like disappeared, and then JPG took over.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think the video that I saw that like really kind of like the first kind of exposing video is like he made some video calling out JPG, which I feel like everyone knows who JPG is, right?
Oh yeah, he's like running the industry right now.
Well, honestly,
TikTok.
so when JPG first started making videos, I know a lot of
I
people were
remember.
like, didn't really like him.
But I remember it's because he started and he would always like rate girls' workouts.
Yes.
And that was like so controversial because it's like, well, how are you going to rate a girl's workout when you're a guy? And
Yeah.
just like, I feel like the way he like went about it was just like not the right way. But then he kind of like drifted away from that.
Well, so what he did at first was a lot of the videos, or like when he would like talk about them,
Mm-hmm.
he would talk about it based on like a purely like functional training standpoint.
Yeah,
He'd
like
talk
he
about
was-
it based
yeah.
on like, okay, well, you can't say that this is a glute exercise when it's not the main targeting glute. So he was very just like very analytical.
Yeah, he was.
He's a very good coach, very good online coach, trainer, everything like that, but very, very analytical. But anyway, so Ryan Reed basically, and I don't know everything that happened, but from the TikToks that I saw yesterday, basically he posted a video on his TikTok with 1.3 million followers, like wearing like short shorts, and was saying that basically he said that the reason he posted it was because he wasn't getting views. And someone was like, well, if you're not getting views, why don't you post better fucking content?
Yeah.
And it was basically a video, and like you could literally see his fucking dick hanging like out of his shorts, and then
Disgusting.
he posted 3 times, and like there's
3
underage
times?
yeah,
Are you
there's
serious?
underage girls that follow him. So, and there's been a whole blanket of issues, but I think that was like the icing on the cake.
Yeah,
Like there has
it was-
been a whole bunch. But anyway, so the main issue that a lot of people said, because a lot of girls are starting to come forward saying that they would train with him and he would like sexually assault them. Like he would grope them and like grab them, and like he was demonstrating an exercise and would like grab their hips and like pull their hips or this or that, or like touch them without consent. And was just doing like being extra touchy, which you and I, being in New Mexico, we've seen a lot of trainers being overly touchy with their clients.
I've almost dealt with one too, and I'm just like, No.
Yeah, no. Oh yeah, because there was a
Yeah.
trainer back home. We won't say who. A trainer back home in New Mexico that was trying to touch her and was like trying to give her a massage, like while she was there
Yeah, I
working
was
out.
like, what are you
And
doing?
I was like, and she told me about it, and I was like,
And that was like the owner of the gym. Because
Yeah.
honestly, I don't really care about him, so whatever. He's old as dirt, so I don't even know if he watches YouTube. But
yeah,
anyway, so it was like the owner of the gym. And then there was another incident I had to deal with one of his trainers who was like basically harassing me. It was like
he follows you to your car.
Yeah, no. So like he was DMing me about, I guess, me doing like in-person training about like one of my friends. And I was like, oh no, like I don't do in-person training there. Joe does. I just do online. And he was like so persistent in me like messaging him back, and I literally wouldn't, and I wouldn't even follow him back. So I was just like sitting in my car making, you know, my little before my workout videos.
Daily rant.
Daily rant. And like my dry skip of the day. And like I remember just sitting in the car and I like looking in the corner and I like just see him there and he's just like staring at me. So I was just like, oh, like maybe he like won't. Like in my head, like I feel like I was safe in my car and I was like, oh, he's not gonna like come, you know.
Yeah.
And bother me. But no, he literally went out of his way to like walk from his car, walk to my car, knocks on my window until like I roll it down just a little bit and bothers me. And I'm just like, you really took time out of your day to harass me over not following you, messaging you back. Like, who are you?
Yeah. Well, and he was mad too because he wanted your friend's number.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm
And
not
he
giving it
knocked
to
on
you,
your car
freaking
window, and I'm like,
creep.
this is inappropriate, and B. And so then when
Yeah.
I told the owner who I was working for, and I was like, this just happened to Alyssa, and then he messaged one of my clients and was like, I know you train with Joe, but I'll train you for
He was
cheaper,
poaching off of your
and this and that,
clients.
and he was like poaching because he didn't have any clients, and I brought it up, and he was like, oh, that's not okay. We're gonna fire him, and I was like, okay, and then he. A, didn't fire him, and B, then he was in there the next day and he was like, well, I'm going to make him apologize to you. And I was like, okay. And he like sent me this half-ass apology, and then I just didn't respond because he texted it to me. He texted me his apology and just basically like, oh, sorry for harassing your girlfriend. I wasn't harassing her. I was just trying to share, you know, get her to post about my coaching and like spread news that like I'm doing a group class and this and that. And I'm like, but why are you going after A, my girlfriend, and B, my client? Because you were training with me.
Yeah.
And I was like, that doesn't make sense. And so, yeah, I sent me a half-ass apology. And then I remember I saw him at the gym. He was like, did you get my text? And I was like, yep. And I just walked
What
right
made me
by
so
him.
mad is that he tried apologizing to you but not to me, even though he made me feel extremely uncomfortable, but like whatever. So that was like my fair share. I feel like it's a very common thing in the industry.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. I think personal trainers get a really bad rap because it's I think there's really shitty trainers that ruin it for a lot of good trainers and just completely take everything out of context. So anyway, so this guy, Ryan Reed, right, has lots of videos correcting form, but like just straight on like grabbing girls by their hips, like grabbing like their abs, like very just way overly touchy. And I remember when I first saw those videos, like, you know, me coming from the standpoint of being you know, working with athletes and like, you know, having worked with athletes in the past, it's very hard. Like tactile cueing is what it's called, where you kind of like touch a muscle group that's supposed to be working. And it's like a light touch. It's not a grab. It's like a, you know, point with the pinky and being like, oh, like this spot right here, this and that.
Right.
And that's a very common tool that I used working at the high school and stuff like that. But like I worked with a lot of high school athletes that were females. And I have a lot of female clients. So like, I don't, like if I have to like tactile cue, I like to use like a knuckle or something that's like not direct, like a finger or like a hand or like something that could be considered like that, right? I use like back of my hand or like a pinky or just kind of point. I always try and demonstrate like on myself or like try and give verbal cues before I try and tactile cue. But again, tactile cues, and you know, everyone was going on this post saying that it should never be okay for a personal trainer to touch their client, which yeah, that's absolutely fine. I agree with that. But at a certain point, some people need tactile cueing.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, and there's a good and a bad way to go about it. There's a professional way to go about it. Like if I carried a pen on me, I would use a pen and I would point with a pen, right?
Right.
Which I know that a lot of personal trainers at commercial gyms have to do, right? They like, cause commercial gyms are a lot more strict, right? And obviously there should be a very, very strict boundary of, you know, client friend personnel. And I've had that issue before with like some of my male clients in the past where like I almost get too buddy with them and it takes out the coaching aspect of it, and it
discipline, yeah.
takes out the discipline, and it takes out the, you know, the being strict and being able to push someone, because it's like, it's just like you're working out with a friend. I don't know. It's just, it's different. So I've since fixed that, but I've had issues like that in the past, but I haven't ever had an issue with that with a female client. And that's because I'm not stupid enough to sleep with one of my female clients. That's just dumb. Plus I think I've always been in a relationship since I've been like personal training, like, you know, full time. But anyway, yeah, so all sorts of stories coming out about girls saying that he groped them, about how he would like harass them on social media. And they had to sign an NDA before they trained with him in case they slept together. I'm like, wow. Insane. And I've heard, you know, there's more stories about him having his girls take ecstasy and then sleeping with him, like just all sorts of shit, all sorts you could see. And, you know, and it's trainers like that ruin it for a lot of people. Cause again, I do tactile cueing, and I do, you know, like I'll, you know, touch someone's like knee or something like that. And, you know, I usually say like, hey, like, can I show you? And they'll be like, yeah. And so like, I'll show them, like, but I don't just straight grab them, stuff like that.
I mean, I think you've done it in front of me when I was working with the girls, but like, I didn't think anything of it or think like, oh my God, why is he doing that? Like,
and honestly, yeah, I haven't never.
It's like an instinct, you know?
Well, and I haven't ever thought anything about it either.
You also had me, you were like, oh, babe, can you go show her? And I'm just like, okay. So then I'm doing it. I'm like, you want me to do like this? Like, you know, so I'm like, I feel like you should be doing it because you're the trainer.
Well, and you know, it was something that like, I didn't even think about. Like I got so used to tactile cueing because that's what how we were taught when we worked with athletes, right? Like, cause again, it does usually, you have to, it's like monkey see, monkey do. But, and then also like working with little kids, like, you know, I've worked with little kids before, and it's like, do you feel this on your knee? Like if I say, do you feel this on, you know, your knee or whatever, sometimes like, especially like little kids, cause I coached little kids before, like don't know like where that is, right? Or some people aren't familiar with like where their hamstrings are. So I'll like point to my leg, or I'll be like the back of your leg, and I'll point, but I'll be like close, but I won't like touch or something like that. But, and honestly, it wasn't something that like I thought about until I saw these people being like pissed off, like that's sexual assault. And they, you know, a trainer should never this and that. Yeah. And I'm like, yes, I definitely understand. And if, you know, anyone was like, oh, like I don't feel comfortable with that, like obviously like, yeah, absolutely. But at the same time too, it's trainers like that ruin it, because again, tactile cueing is a very good way to do that. And I'm not saying that it's an excuse for him to have done it, but I'm saying there's an appropriate and an inappropriate way to do it, right? If I'm saying like, oh yeah, like, you know, you should feel it here, and I put my hand all over you, versus being like, yeah, you should feel it here, or like a knuckle or something like that. It's like different, right? Right. And I think that's like really important. But like we've seen trainers in the past, like,
seen it like firsthand. I'm like,
with like girls coming up to their trainer and being like, oh, my traps are so tight. And the guy just like, straight going around and just start giving them a massage. Like that's inappropriate. Being like, hey, let me show you a soft tissue exercise that you can do with a barbell. Right. Okay. If that's still not fixing it, okay, let's try this. And if that's still not fixing it, hey, can I use my thumb to pressure point right here? Okay, yeah, that's fine. But then at a certain point, like there's certain things that are out of that scope of practice. So it's like, it's so complicated, you know, that it is. But anyway, so yeah, this guy did it and caused all this issues and all this drama.
I saw one of his videos, and like that was like my first instinct. I was like, why is he like touching his client like that? Just like the way he was doing it was just like a little too much. Like it's something that you would not see like a trainer inside a gym do.
Right.
But
and here's another thing too. Like, I mean, everyone knows Bret Contreras. He's the glute guy, the guy that basically invented the hip thrust and stuff like that. People were coming out, or people were saying that because he does it a lot with his clients, and everyone's like, he's way too overly handsy and this and that, and he shouldn't ever be touching any of his clients ever at any point. And I'm like, okay, yes and no. I don't know the issues that have gone on, but I mean, obviously, when it's a male trainer and a female client, you're obviously going to have this first initial assumption that everything is sexual, right? Everything is like, oh my God, he just touched her this or there or whatever. Like, but again, like it just comes from the intention behind it, right? And you know, and it definitely doesn't look good when you're a single male trainer that's A, attractive, and B, has other attractive female clients. Like it's like an automatic instinct, like, oh, that's an attractive male trainer and he's got attractive female clients. They're probably sleeping with him or something like that. Like that's almost an immediate click without even like necessarily knowing. And I'm not trying to defend anyone or anything like that, but I'm just saying that like it's people like that give a really bad rap. and make it
harder for other like male trainers.
For male trainers, right? Because it's in, I think from all the experience that I've had with any female clients that I've had, they said that, the female clients that I've had have said that they've gone with like a male coach because they push them a little bit harder than a female coach does or whatever. But again, everyone has like their own individual preferences. Because like, I haven't seen very many female trainers with like male clients. Sometimes I do, but they're usually like lifestyle or overweight or obese or something like that. But I definitely think that there's a lot more female clients that have a male trainer. Would you agree?
Yeah.
No.
I think I've seen like once a female trainer, just like recently, and it's funny because he's a trainer too, but he has a female coach, and their dynamic is like very strange. The way he like speaks about her, the way he talks about her, and I'm just like, wait, isn't that your trainer?
Yeah, and that's I don't know. It's so like you don't shit where you eat. Like
yeah, I'm just like, oh,
that's like such a hard thing, and that's why like. And that's not like why, but like, that's why, like, I don't train you, right? Like I'm not your coach because again, of just that boundary of like, I can push you for sure. But like, if I'm bossing you around or doing this and that, like, I don't know.
You were doing it to me the other day when I was working out.
Oh, she was so mad.
So annoyed because he kept trying to cue me. And I was just like,
okay, so she jumped into my workout with my clients. And was like...
They invited me, okay?
Yeah, but she was not anticipating how hard that workout was going to be. And I was just being a straight dick to her because I knew that I could push her harder. So any weight that my clients were doing, I just doubled it for her. And same reps and everything.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that workout was pretty tough for you. And yeah, I didn't cut you any slack or anything like that. But yeah, I know it's just, professionalism with that aspect. And speaking of professionalism, can we talk about how many shitty online coaches there are as well?
Oh my gosh.
I don't want to expose anyone.
There's so many. Okay.
The amount of like screenshots, the amount of messages that I have to expose various fitness influencers and various people in this industry that would ruin their rep is just ridiculous because of things that I've seen or experiences that I've had with them. And like, yeah, everything. It's just like, A, it's not worth it. But B, it's just like, it's frustrating because again, they give a bad rap to other people doing this in here. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I mean, I definitely had my fair share of not being the best coach that I could be, but I definitely owned up to that and apologized to my clients. But like, there are some coaches out there. All I have to say is like, if you compete once and you'll start your business, you have no business being a coach or coaching anyone, especially if you're not certified. Just because you did one show or if you're an IFBB pro. Like I've seen it so many times and it's just like, ugh.
Okay, but so yes, absolutely. But at the same time too, a certification doesn't give you anything.
I mean, that's true.
A certification gives you a piece of paper.
You.
Yeah, but I mean, you can get a lot of that education elsewhere.
Oh no, yeah, definitely.
100%.
There are coaches that offer it now that you can,
What I think is a little bit ridiculous is I think here's the thing. When someone opens like a coaching business like that or whatever, and they just give protocols based strictly on what they do, that's I think where it blurs the lines, right? Because that's where you get people with getting eating disorders. That's where you get people with like just struggling in the journey, like just a whole blanket of issues, right? Injuries, this and that. And it's because it's like, oh, well, like my coach said to do or whatever. And that's where the education becomes important because it's like, okay, if I have a 300-pound male trying to lose weight and I have a 100-pound female trying to gain weight, those are completely different training plans. Those are completely different like nutritional protocols. Like those are completely different things that, that like you can't use the same stuff for, right? And that's where it's like an individual approach has to be taken versus just a lot of these coaches just give really cookie cutter plans and stuff like that and just prescribe. And here's the thing. A lot of coaches are they prescribe way too much volume.
Yeah.
There's no reason why you should be doing 6, 7, 8 sets, like 30 different exercises when you're in the gym and like this and that, because it's it's excessive. It's just a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. And the reason why they do it is because it's like, if I gave you 20 exercises to do with 5 sets of each one, yeah, you're going to burn calories. You're going to lose weight. You're going to feel sore 100%. But is that going to be the smartest thing for you? No, probably not. And you get a lot of people with overtraining injuries. You get a lot of people with like recurrent injuries, right? And it's like, I had this experience with a client in the past with a coach that I worked with, that I collaborated with, and he got hurt, doing a movement. And instead of fixing that movement and trying to find the root cause, it was just like, no, pull all that from the plan. It's like, okay, yes, but why don't you just fix the root issue? Why don't you fix the low back pain that's causing this person to get hurt repeatedly versus just, okay, well, guess what? Now we can't do any bent over movements, and now we can't do any hinges and rows. It's like, again, you're throwing a Band-Aid on a bullet hole. There's no reason, right? Like, fix the root issue at hand. And again, and like a lot of like, again, like for me, and it's so hard because there's not like one right way to do things. Obviously there, you could do, if you're getting started in the gym, you could do, realistically any exercise. You could do any program. You could do anything. You're going to see progress with it if you stick to it consistently. And that's the thing. But for people that need, 5, 6 sets for 20 exercises in their workout, it's just straight ridiculous. It's just straight ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't need that much, right? Like, but I mean, to each their own, right? Like, if that's what they enjoy doing, sure, like whatever. Like, where it becomes a problem is where you start having issues and it becomes like this black and white, like, oh, like, I have to do this 5 or 6 sets, or you start getting these overuse injuries or people that can't recover or all this different stuff. Like, I worked with a coach in the past, and, the protocol that he gave me was, and he literally said this because, that's just how he coaches, but the protocol he gave me was based off what he did. And it was like, okay, cool. So I like started following it. My hormones tanked. Like, you remember how exhausted I was? This was after summer shredding in October. What was that? October 2020 when I did summer shredding. Yeah. This was after that first summer shredding. This was a coach that I worked with who wasn't a coach, but, was like, oh yeah, I'll coach you, bro. And, I was going through like 4 or 5 energy drinks a day just to stay awake. My sleep was all fucked up. And instead of listening to the feedback I was giving, like, I can't eat this much food, I can't eat this, like, I'm falling off plan. It was like, well, you just don't want it. You're not working hard enough. And it was like, you're just not dedicated, right? Like, I do this. It's like, okay, well, great. That's great that you do it. But like, also, I'm like, giving you
6'5", 6'3".
I'm like, but this protocol is like, I'm telling you, like, I can't do this because like there's other issues going on, right? Like, I can't eat this amount of food. You can't take me from 150 grams of protein to 295 grams of protein overnight and then give me a guilt trip when I'm not hitting that and just saying, well, you're just not serious about it. It's like, no, like, you're just not listening to my feedback. Like, you're not making adjustments based on that. And it was just, and then after a while, it was just like, you know what, this isn't going to work. Cause I was like, dude, this is just ridiculous. Like, you know what I mean? And I was like, and the amount of volume I had in my training block, oh my God, fucking ridiculous. And it's just, again, that's the frustrating thing. But you know what I also can't stand is I can't stand like the cliche of like a lot of what these coaches do. Like, they hype up these transformations and shit like that. They're charging $400 a month plus for coaching, and they're hyping up all these transformations when it's just a base block programming that they give them. So it's just like, it's like women's starter pack, men's starter pack for a program. And then they're just hyping up all this stuff that they do for them. Or like, I've had like, I very openly talk about how I work with Nick, and I have various coaches. I've had the same coach message me 4 or 5 times trying to pull me into his training program, which is just a bunch of big clicky athletes and a bunch of people that I don't agree with it. And it's like, how do, as a business owner, how do you not see that you've sent this person the exact same message, like the same copy paste message saying, oh, you look like you'd be a great fit for my team and this and that. And like, that's what I can't stand. You know what I mean? Like,
I feel like at that point it just becomes like not even like doing it for the right reasons, but more so doing it just for the money. Like
Yeah.
it's a quick buck.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is you get a lot of people kind of doing that. And it's like, you know, not to say that they're bad coaches or anything like that, but I just think that some of the ways that they kind of go about it is, again, it's very money hungry, right? It's very, very money hungry. And there's a lot of like this person in particular that I'm talking about, you know, he makes a good living because he just like hooks people in. They sign these 12-month contracts. They're stuck in these big long contracts or whatever. And it's just like a numbers game. And they just get very average coaching, but they're paying top end for it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I can say for a fact that the coaching that I get from Nick is completely,
oh my God, it's literally top tier.
You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, I pay a high price for that, but it's because it's, you know, I'm working with a coach that, yeah, exactly. I'm working with a coach that's making adjustments based on me. Right. And like, you know, like another thing too is like, you know, a lot of these things that a lot of these coaches do aren't within their scope of practice. And, you know, like, for example, fun fact, and I'm sure you've known this, but I don't know if other people do, like a online coach cannot legally prescribe a meal plan to you. They cannot legally tell you what to eat, how much to eat, and this and that. And where the lines get blurred is that it's like, I don't know. It's so black and white because, again, it's like, it's legal, but no one's going to do anything. Right? It's technically it's illegal to train someone without a training certification, but who's going to say anything? Yeah,
like
who's going to
half
say
the
anything?
industry would be gone.
Right. Like, yeah, who's going to say anything? Right. And a lot of these fitness influencers, like there's two very, in particular, female fitness influencers that we read a whole Reddit column about that popped up when we were just scrolling through Reddit about how, you know, people paid for 12 months of coaching, then never heard from them and this and that, or
it's like
gave them a meal plan.
They still had like their coaching link in their like link tree or whatever they used, but then said that their career went a different way and they're no longer doing coaching, but they never took the link off. So if people are paying for it. If you like never see that video, you're going to automatically think they're still, you know, coaching, and you click on it, you pay for it, and you don't hear back. It's just like,
well, and so anyway, back to like the out of the scope of practice type of things, like, yeah, meal plans are technically illegal. And I know a lot of bodybuilding coaches that give meal plans. And that's the thing is I think it's, you know, like I've given meal plans before too. Right. Yeah. But I usually do it based on a client's request. And I just say, hey, this is what I would suggest for you to eat. This is not a black and white. This is, and that's why you and I, we teach our clients how to track their macros so that way they can make their own adjustments. Cause, you know, A, that's within our scope of practice, but B, like, again, a meal plan is usually what gets someone an eating disorder most of the time. Now, you know, I understand, and the reason you give someone a meal plan, or the reason I've ever given someone a meal plan, is to show them how I would structure a day of eating, and then just being like, okay, this is based on what you eat now. This is how I would structure it for you. Right. But I'm not going to guilt trip someone if they're not eating on that meal plan, if that kind of makes sense. Right. Because, you know, that's just, again, it's kind of without the scope of practice, but a lot of the things that you get from a nutritional coaching certification or this and that is not anything substantial that you can actually use to make a transformation in someone's life. So like if I have someone that doesn't know at all how to structure a day of eating, like, yeah, I'll give them some examples. But again, like that's not black and white.
Right.
And then another thing too is it's like, you know, what's also, you know, kind of like outside of the scope of practice is like, you know, doing anything that's not exercise is technically out of scope of practice of someone, right? So you know how like as like for competitors, like a lot of competitors will give their bodybuilding coach blood work and stuff like that, which is very illegal, right? Technically, right? If you're going at it from a legal aspect of it, right? Most of the time that's very illegal. Like most people are not qualified to give supplemental advice and this and that. But again, when you have the best interest of someone in mind, there's a difference between, I think where it's okay is when you're giving it as a suggestion. Hey, I would suggest taking a multivitamin just for general health, right? Just for general health. And this is something you can find on Google, right? But you can't tell someone, hey, you need to take 3 multivitamins to fix this issue going on within your body. that's not something that you can kind of do, right? So where the scope of practice kind of falls is kind of just, it's kind of all, it's all over the place, right? Like we can suggest like, hey, I would suggest taking like creatine, but if someone didn't feel comfortable taking creatine, I'm not going to be like, well, sorry, like I can't coach you or something like that. Like, and I know coaches that have done that before. Like, oh, like this is what you have to do. Did you know, I saw something on TikTok too, from a coach that I follow. He's a really good coach that I follow on TikTok. He was talking about a story about how he's had clients in the past come from another coach where they had to send they were female competitors that had to send their check-ins fully nude. Fully nude.
What?
Yes.
No, that's a red flag.
Ass cheeks, tits out, everything. No. Fully nude for their check-ins, for their posing. And they would have to do their posing routine nude.
That's unbelievable.
That's crazy. That's ridiculous. Yeah, no. That is absolutely ridiculous. That's like, I'm not joking. He literally posted that, and he was like, that's not okay. And B, there's no reason why you would have to do that. But, you know, and again, that's where you have really shitty people that have bad experiences that it leads to that. You know what I mean? Right. So that's, I don't know. That's interesting.
Let's just input on that topic. Okay. So another thing that I've gotten asked a lot is basically what it's like dating a trainer. And I feel like at first it was very like, we had like our issues just because I was not like used to it. Mm-hmm. At first I mean, I was okay with it to a certain extent because, right, like it would be like beginning, it'd just be me and Joe hanging out and he'd be late and like he would have clients like message him or like text him.
Yeah,
and
I remember this.
I'm like, that's not professional. Like it's literally midnight and you have your client texting you, calling you, asking you about like this, and this.
Yeah.
That at first did bother me a lot just because I'm like, this is our time. Why are they interrupting?
Yeah.
You know? But yeah.
I very specifically remember the scenario that you're talking about. One of my clients, and one of my clients texted me like really late or something like that. And I remember you were like, why is she messaging you? And I was like, honestly, I don't know. And I like read it. And I think it was, I don't even remember what it was about. I don't know if it was like just like a
I feel like
nutritional question
like
or something.
Type of client that just like needed attention like all the time.
Oh yes, she very much was a client that needed attention. But yeah, no, so I remember that, and I know because I always just used to respond like right away or something like that, which I mean I'm horrible about responding now. I mean, like, you know this.
Now I feel like your clients have like a better understanding and respect that boundary.
They do too, but I mean, if someone calls me late and I don't want to take it for spending time together or whatever, I'll just send them a voicemail. Like if someone's calling me like at like 10 p.m., you know what I mean? I'll usually just send them a voicemail. Unless someone texts me like, hey, this is an emergency, like I need you, then that's like a different scenario. But sometimes like I'll have clients that'll call me like late at night and just ask me stupid shit. And I'll just be like, just text me
anymore. Like I feel like at first it bothered me a lot just because I was new to like everything. It's like dating a trainer because I'd never dated a trainer before.
Well, I know that like we've texted, well, like, cause like Nick has like set hours that, you know, we contact him out of respect for his time.
Right.
Not like if we were to contact him outside of those hours that he wouldn't like respond to us. Because I think, well, I first.
remember one time, oh my God, I was working out. And obviously we lived in New Mexico at the time and he lived here. So like he was an hour ahead.
Yeah.
And I remember like, I don't know what I was doing. I was like squatting or something. And I like texted him not thinking of like what time it was. And I just needed help with like my form or something. Or I was like not feeling good or something. So I like texted him. He texted me and he was like, hey, it's like inappropriate for you to text me at this time. And I was just like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, and then she was paranoid about it one time because I remember I was super.
Me off the team.
I was like, I remember that issue. I almost passed out at the gym like multiple times, and and you were like, no, it's like it's too late. We shouldn't text Nick or whatever. And I was like, no, like text him. This is serious. I don't know what's going on. I remember you texted him, or remember I think I texted him and he like responded like 30 minutes later, and he was like, holy fuck, drive Joe to the hospital now. Mm-hmm. And we were like, wait, what? And he was like, now, like if you don't, like he's gonna have like a stroke in like 30 minutes. I was like, fuck. And then after that, he was just like, okay, these are my kids now. I gotta make sure that they stay alive. And that's how he always talks to us. He's always like, yeah, you guys are my problem children. I gotta make sure you guys stay alive. But no, I remember what you're talking about. But have you ever had an instance, I'd say probably more so recently since, you know, being at Alphaland, because when I was back home, a lot of the clientele that I trained was like older like if they were females, they were like older, like 30s plus or whatever, just because I didn't really have that demographic back home.
Right.
But now I'd say a lot more of my demographic here is a lot more like college age and stuff like that. Have you ever had an instance where, you know, it's been awkward for you, you know what I mean? Like being in the relationship with me or something like that, where like you didn't feel comfortable, or maybe there was something that someone did or something that I did or something like that that made you feel uncomfortable in a sense or something like that? I don't think so.
No, I feel like
it's because we have a good trust and a good
trust,
relationship
and I
now.
also feel like I'm not intimidated by anyone. So like,
Yeah,
even
no.
if like one of your clients were to try something, I wouldn't like.
No, not, and I'm not even saying like one of my clients, but I'm saying like, and I don't think this has really happened, like where people have like come up to me at the gym and like asked me for form help or something like that.
I think I know what you're talking about.
I'm talking more about that. I'm not talking about like my
so
clients.
Not training, but like you're
No,
talking
no.
about like girls going up to you at the gym.
I'm talking about like girls coming up to me at the gym, or like if I went up to a girl and like was trying to give her like form tips or feedback or something like that. I've done it like once or twice with who are now clients, like going up and being like, hey,
I feel like,
can I just give you a few tips or something like that? Has that ever been an issue for you?
no, I feel like it's never been an issue for me because you'll like talk to me about it. But, like,
I
if you
almost
wouldn't-
always talk to her right after. I'm like, oh, hey, did you see that girl that was like doing squats at the
you wouldn't
gym?
even make me like try to go up to them, and I'm like so introverted. I'm like,
Or
"No."
usually I would
I was
usually
like,
tell
"No,
you
I
first,
can't.
right?
You go up to them.
Well, I would
You,
usually
like-
tell you first, right? I'd be like, oh, do you
Yeah.
like see, should I go help her? And you'd be like, yeah, or be like, no, just leave it. And I'd be like, okay. And but
Yeah.
like, I wouldn't say really not that often, but I'm just saying like, how would you feel if, let's just say in a scenario, if a girl came up, let's just say that was like some big influencer or something like that came up and was like asking me for form tips, right? Because, you know, I'm super naive and I'm super just dumb to the situation of like, oh yeah, you need help? Sure. Like, let me come help you or whatever. If someone came up and was like, oh, can you like watch me squat or something like that? And did it like where you were, they very clearly saw you and came up to me and were like, hey, you're a trainer, right? And I'd be like, yeah. And then be like, can you like watch me squat or like check my form or something like that? How would you feel about something like that?
I honestly wouldn't care.
You wouldn't care?
No, like if she's trying to flirt with you, then she could flirt with you. But like at the end of the day, you're your own person. Like you're gonna do what you want to do.
I would, you know, if a guy came up to you at the gym and was like trying to do that, because I mean, to me, like if it's a very, very like clear, like if I'm standing right there next to you and a guy comes up to you and is like, oh, can I give you some form tips? Oh my God. But here's the thing. I wouldn't have to lose my shit because I know you'd give him enough attitude to fucking send him running. You'd be like, the fuck? No, I lift more than you. Like,
Yeah. No, I remember. Okay, so that just reminded me of like one of the trainers. I didn't know he was a trainer at Alpha Leap because it was our first time there for your summer shredding.
oh, okay.
And we were walking by like the cables and he goes, oh, you looking good. Or he said something like that. And I didn't even like have time to react. And you were like, oh, you're looking good. Like, you, like mocked him. And that just like had me dead. I was like, oh my God. Dude,
Yeah, you usually have a lot of
That was like my first
attitude.
time ever like hearing you, not like be jealous, but be like, what? Did he really just say that?
I don't remember that.
You were in prep, so.
Yeah,
You were
honestly, I
being
don't
feisty.
remember.
I was like, oh.
Was that in June, summer shredding?
That was your first time you did summer shredding.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I don't think any guys would ever come up to you and give you form tips because honestly, you lift better than most of them there. But you also are, I think you're pretty intimidating at the gym.
Probably.
Like your headphones are on and you're just fucking, like you're in the zone
Like,
and like
leave
you
me
don't
alone.
mean to give a like resting bitch face off, but you're kind of just like, like breathing and like looking around, just kind of like,
I honestly just
dialed
zone
in.
out when I'm like working out. I'm just like in my own little world.
yeah, you do zone out. You do zone out a lot. And that's, so yeah, no, I definitely, I don't think anyone would do that. But I know that Sush and James in the past have come up to you, and this was when you were on prep and they were like, "Bro, you look fucking insane," and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And like I'm standing there, but they're always like really cool. Like they'd be like, "Oh, what's up, Joe?" And like they'd, you know, give me knuckles and stuff like that. So I'm not ever like, I don't think we've ever had an issue with like that ever. Oh, wait, hang on, at Define back home, didn't a guy come up
Oh
and
my
say
God.
something to you?
Yes,
I don't
like,
remember the story exactly.
I was hip thrusting on the. Okay, this is in Mexico. Like a lot of the girls would never hip thrust.
Or maybe we just didn't see it at the time that we went.
No, like they
Well,
never
Defined
would.
had a horrible place. They had one hip thrust
They
machine,
had, yeah, they would use a hip.
and it was
thrust
so
machine,
complicated to
but they
bring
would
weights to the
never, like,
turf.
hip thrust on like the squat rack. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't care. Like I would just go out of my way. It took forever to drag like the box all the way on the squat rack, get it set up,
Yeah.
and hip thrust. So I remember like I was hip thrusting, and like these guys were like squatting, I think like 2 down for me, and they were just like watching me, like as if they never seen someone hip thrust before. So I was like, this is weird. And you were working out on the other side, like where the dumbbells were.
Yeah.
And so like I'm done. I'm like unracking everything, and I like struggling. So he comes and helps me. I'm like, oh yeah, thanks for helping me, you know, because I literally was struggling. And he's like, yeah, no problem. So he walks away, and then his friend comes up to me and he goes, oh, like you're so beautiful, you're so attractive. Can I have your number? And I was like, no. Why would you ask that? I'm at the gym. I'm working out. No.
Have you? How
And I
many?
was like, no, my boyfriend's here. And I literally just walked away. And he goes,
How many guys have you had hit on you at the gym?
I don't even know.
Is it? Would you say it's a lot?
Yeah.
Really? Like especially at Alphaland?
I feel like not at Alphaland because you train there, like you work there, so they all know you.
I mean, you also haven't been there for like the last like 6 weeks.
Yeah, that too.
I was gonna say, I was like, yeah.
I think my day I came back, a lot of people were just like staring at me, particularly at my boobies, because they're like,
I mean, I was staring at your boobies.
you're like, oh, those are new.
Oh, hey, what's up?
Yeah, but no, I haven't had anyone at Alphaland just because I feel like everyone knows you.
Yeah, I'd say if anyone comes up to me at Alphaland, it's someone that like I know. I don't ever have random people just come up to me, and I don't ever
Except I
really see
remember one
that.
girl did come up to you, and I did not like this girl because
Who is it? Is it someone that I know?
yes,
Who is it?
one of our friends goes on power trips over her.
I'm so confused.
I don't even know her name.
Okay, anyway, explain the
Okay,
situation. Let's see if it
anyways.
clicks.
So, I know for me, I just find it extremely disrespectful. Okay, so like this is what this happened. So like I was working out, doing my own thing by the dumbbells, and then I like look over and she's talking to you. Don't care like if another girl's talking to you because I don't know like what the situation is or what the conversation is.
Yeah.
But then I remember we started working out together after you were done doing your thing. I think you were like working legs or something. I don't remember. And then she like goes to like come talk to you, but doesn't acknowledge me. So I was like, hello, excuse me, you're rude. To me, that's really disrespectful. Like if you're going to go talk to someone's boyfriend, at least acknowledge the girlfriend. But I was like, whatever, like maybe this is like her time to like actually flirt with someone and have her fun and like make herself feel special.
Yeah.
So I was like, whatever, I don't really care.
I have no idea who this was. You have to tell me after.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me after. We don't have to expose anyone
Okay.
here. I honestly don't remember. And that's the thing. I'm always so naive because sometimes like we'll leave the gym and you'll be like, well, she was flirting with you. And I was like, what? She was? And you're like, yeah, did you see like this or this? And I'm like, I honestly wasn't paying attention. And I'm like so naive to the fact of that. And that's at the same time too. I feel like in the past when I've gone up to people and been like, hey, like, how's it going? Cause I'm usually just pretty friendly. Like I'll see a lot of people like that don't like know, like I know of, like we follow each other on social media. I'll be like, hey, what's up? Like, how's it going? Or something like that. And I'm like, I almost half wonder if they're like, oh yeah, Joe was trying to flirt with me or something like that when I'm just like trying to be nice or something like that. And I don't think that I come off in that way at all.
I always think that too. Because like for me, I'm like really bubbly kind of and just like really just like spacious. And like I'm friendly with like everyone.
Yeah.
And I feel like if they think I'm like flirting with them and I'm like, hopefully they don't think I am, even though I'm just like, this is just like me being me. You know?
Yeah. No, I feel that. I feel that for sure. No, yeah, I don't think that's ever really happened where we've had like people come up to us at the gym. Now, have you had, and I guess this kind of goes with it. Have you had guys come up to you in the gym and try and correct your form? You said no, right?
No, I actually have.
Really?
But I feel like it's always older guys.
It's always the old guys.
Yeah,
I used to bench 405 in high school. Oh, really?
No, where was it? I don't remember where it was, but I feel like it definitely has happened to me multiple times because I'll get so pissed and so annoyed. And it's always the times like you're not there. And then I'll text you like, you will not believe what this old man just told me trying to correct my form.
This was mostly at Define though, right? This hasn't happened at
Yes.
Alphaland?
Yeah.
How do you, so when we compare like Define to like Alphaland, for example, obviously vastly
God.
different, but how do you feel like the environment and the vibes are and stuff there? Because for me, Alphaland is just like, I'll see a lot of people doing like some crazy shit And like I used to see people do crazy like stupid shit at Define, and I'd be like, but like since being here at Alphaland, I'm just kind of like, whatever. Like I don't even care. Like, cause you always see these big groups of TikTokers making these videos or doing all these skits and stuff like that at the gym. And I'll see it a lot, and I'll just kind of like, I know in the past, and I think we talked about this on past podcasts about how like we would always kind of like look at people and be like, oh, or whatever. And then now we're just kind of like, whatever. We just kind of like, we just,
like
we
I'm just
exist.
used to it. Like I don't even care about it anymore. That I'm just like, whatever. Just.
Well, like we don't ever talk about it. We don't make faces and stuff like that too, because I think that I don't know. I think that's what we definitely tried to get away from leaving New Mexico. So I feel like that was something that like, it's so like, you know, everyone's got to talk about someone in New Mexico. And I know we've done a lot better of a job about just like keeping our thoughts to ourselves and not talking bad about someone or not talking about someone in general. Just like, why are they doing this or that? Cause I know that I definitely used to be like that in the past, like, especially in college when I was like at the gym lifting, like being like studying, you know, kinesiology and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, I can't believe someone's lifting like that. Like, what an idiot. Like, that's like the worst way to like this, and this. And now I'm just kind of like, oh, whatever. If they enjoy it, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a lot more mellow to it. And like, even now too, that's why I don't really go up to like people and like give form help unless I'm like,
sometimes I like
see
want
it
to so bad because I like see some girls like working out, and it's not that I'm just like trying to be like a bitch or like, but it's just like I want to genuinely help them before they like hurt themselves.
Now,
I wish I had that like when I first started, you know.
Now, let's say you being an experienced lifter now. Let's just say, you know, whether you're dating or not, let's just say a guy comes up to you and offers you and comes up and is like, hey, like I saw you were hip thrusting. Can I give you a tip really quick or something like that? Would you like listen, or would you completely shut off to the fact of like someone
I feel like I'd listen, but I feel it also depends on like how they approach it. Yeah.
Cause like, you know, I know that, you know, you always see things on TikTok of like girls being like, don't come up to me at the gym. Don't come give me form advice, this and this and this. Mm-hmm. But then you also see people being like, oh, I wish someone came up and gave me form advice when I was first starting and this and that. And it's like, and that's where the lines for me always kind of get blurred. So I'm like, do I go help someone or not? Because I've helped someone before and I've been like, oh, this, and they're just like, well, I don't want to do it that way. And I'm like, oh, well, like, what are you trying to target here? They're just like, I've seen it done like this, so I'm just going to keep doing it that way. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I very clearly just like get them out. Oh yeah, cool. For sure. You know, nice meeting you, and just kind of like walk away, because like, you don't want to like be like, well, that's the wrong way to do it or whatever. Right. You know, I don't know. It's just so, I don't know. That's what's interesting about the fitness industry is it's just like, I feel like it would be an amazing place, you know, where people, if they felt safe, if they felt supported in really everything that they did, and if people called them out from a standpoint of, you know, education and not, you know, trying to bring other people down. That's what I hate is it's like, you know, cause I was in that point, right, where when I was first kind of like getting started in the gym and I was doing my own thing and like, yeah, I was doing like photo shoots and stuff like that at the gym. And I had people trying to like talk down on me or like, you know, basically like bring me down on what I was trying to do of like living up to my dreams and stuff like that. And so that's why I'm always trying to think of myself, you know, like, so I know something very specifically is the first time I went to Alpha Elite gym for that first summer shredding, when I was there, I had 3 people come up to me and just be like super cool. Like 3 guys came up to me, and this is when I was shredded for the show, and just being like, dude, you look awesome. Like, I love your physique or whatever. Like, are you competing this weekend or something like that? And I was like tiny. So to me, that was like a huge compliment. They'd be like, dude, you look shredded, man. Like keep it up. Or like just those small things. And I'd always be like, man. And I remember coming down here and I was like, this place is great. And so, and I've told you this, like now being here and like being at the gym here and stuff like that, I'm making a really big point to go up to people at the gym and just being like, wow, like those were great squats, or like, dude, like I love your physique, like to guys being like, I love your physique or something like that, or just like being like really positive, or like sometimes like I'll see like girls working out there at the gym, and you know, I could just see that like they're doing their own thing, and like you can tell that maybe they're not like the most confident or something like that. And I'll just go up and I'll just be like, hey, like I'm happy to see you here. Like you're killing it today, or something, like just something super basic like that, that just makes them feel like, oh wow, like, right, you know, just makes them feel more comfortable. And I feel like that's how the gym environment should be. Not something that like, oh, well, that person was trying to flirt with me or this
that's
or that, but
I
just like
definitely got a lot better at too, is just like having small interactions, even with if it's like girls passing the hallway, smiling at
Yeah,
them, or even
exactly.
like in the bathroom, complimenting them. Even if they're like trying to take like their post gym selfie, like, oh my God, girl, like you look so good, like post that. Just like being more social with them, just because I feel like back home that was something that like definitely did not even like exist, especially at Define. Like I remember just like getting like so many stares and like, oh my God, why is she taking pictures? Why is she recording? Why is she doing this?
The
Why
stairs.
is she doing
Oh,
that?
it's the worst.
Like,
do you think that that's just a small town mentality type of thing? I know that used to be like that at A&A too. Like, oh my gosh, like, and honestly, like we were definitely culprits of that, like judging people, being like, oh my God, like I remember.
I was not as judgmental.
Okay, yeah, I was a judgmental one. I remember like there'd be people at A&A that would be working out that I would be like, you know, kind of like making fun of or talking shit about or this and that. And I remember like just since being down here, I'm like, man, honestly, like, and I think that that's just been more of a maturity thing is like the more I've gotten into the gym. Just maturity thing. Yeah, I think that just being in the gym, I'm just kind of like, you know, like I just, you know, people doing their own thing, to each their own, whatever. Like if someone wants to like, you know, because we'll, like I said, we see a lot of crazy shit at Alphaland all the time, like, you know, and stuff like that. And it's, I think it, like I said, it goes a long way. Like I literally had someone yesterday, I was just like walking by, he was like, dude, I love your outfit. It's sick. And I was like, oh, thanks, man. And just like those little compliments go like a long way. And I think that that's so important. So anytime, and I always do this too, and I don't think I've told you this, but like anytime I see a couple wearing matching Inaka in the gym, I always go up to them and I'm just like, swole mates, like I love it. Or like anytime I see it on TikTok, like wearing matching outfits, something like that, I'm like, you guys are swole mates, I love it, or something like that. Just like those little things. And it's just more of just like encouragement for those people, because like, you know how much shit that we got when we were matching outfits to the gym? Like literally all of our podcasts were sitting here in the same matching outfits. And it's not like, yeah, we do it because it's kind of like our thing. Like we've always kind of done it. So now it's kind of like our thing. Like it's like, oh, like we know Joe and Alyssa always kind of wear the matching outfits. It's cute. It's whatever. But people get so heated about like, oh, I would never want to match with my like girlfriend or my boyfriend or this or that. And I'm just like, it's not that serious. It's really not that serious. Like honestly, like, I mean, to me, I think it looks cute when we wear the matching shirt. I think it looks cute when we wear the matching outfit. If we don't match, great. If we do match, great. Like it doesn't really matter to me. And so I was trying to be encouraging of that in that aspect. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like you definitely always have to give off like positive, good vibes. I feel like I've definitely dealt with like a lot of girls that give off like mean vibes at the gym. And I've noticed it a lot actually at Alphaland. And it's usually like the influencers that's not their home gym. They're coming from like somewhere else. They're traveling into Alphaland. And I'm just like, oh, that's not how it is here. Like, take that somewhere else.
It's when someone has a certain number of followers, they feel very entitled to like, well, I have 300K on TikTok. Okay, well, I don't give a fuck, man. You're being a fucking dick. Like, you don't need to take this whole area.
Not only that, but I feel like it's like, you need to be true to who you are and to yourself, because like the only reason why you are where you're at is because
of your followers.
The people that follow you brought you there, and they can easily bring you back down to
I think a lot of people get really in their head about like a certain number of followers and stuff that they have and whatnot, and being like, you know, like, oh, well, I have like 300K. Like, I know people have said this at the gym that like people will come in and be like, oh, I have 300K on TikTok. Do I need to pay for a day pass?
I remember that for the opening.
Excuse me. So yeah, when I was working on opening day, I remember one of the Alphalete athletes came in and was like, oh yeah, like me and my friends. And I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, you can get in because you're on like the list of Alphalete athletes, but yeah, your friend's got to buy a day pass. Oh, well, I know Christian. Oh, cool. Me too. Oh, well, like, you know, I work for Alphalete. Okay, cool. Me too. And your problem is, right? And I'm like, it's just,
I don't know what it is, but I've noticed that like so much that they just keep trying to like take. And I'm like, don't bite the hand that feeds you.
I think it's annoying because, like you said, we've seen it a lot here of just like people being very like rude and entitled because they got a certain number of followers. But then again, too, I know exactly who you're talking about, and you know exactly who I'm talking about, males and females. Usually that comes back and bites them. Like a lot of people have bad experiences with them, and you can only be fake for so long. Honestly, like you can really only be fake for so long. And I feel like it'll come out at some point, right? It usually comes back to bite you in the butt. You know, people that are fake like that, you know what I mean? And you're right. I can't stand it. It pisses me off. You know, cause yeah, like, it's so frustrating. Cause I'm like, dude, like, and another thing, and I think this is something that I think I was talking to you about, is it's like, you know, people like, obviously there's big name influencers at Elfland, right?
Right.
And a lot of people go up to them and just clout chase from them, take pictures with them,
That I feel like
and post pictures.
frustrating too for them. I feel like.
Yeah, because a lot of these people, they're not like friends with these bigger influencers, but like they'll go and they'll post pictures with them and stuff like that. They'll use them for clout, and it's just kind of like, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like annoying. I mean, I kind of get it for like some of these like smaller influencers that are coming in and taking pictures and stuff like that. And it's kind of like, oh, you met like someone that you look up to. I think that's like that's a different thing. Yeah. But I think that just like when because like there's people that we know and they have a certain number of followers and they can't look at us because, oh, well, they're influencers, they're big people. And it's like, really, like you can't just be like human. You can't say like, what's up? You know what I mean? It's like people that like we know. And you know what I mean? And they just act so standoffish to us because it's like, oh, well, like I have 80K followers. So, and it's just like.
I mean, I don't know. I look at it like both ways. Like maybe it is that way, or maybe it's like that they just don't want to be bothered because they're so used to being bothered that they just want to like stick to themselves, you know? Or maybe they think that we're the ones that are trying to clout chase off them.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's something that can happen too. I mean, I feel that, well, I don't ever go up and ask to take pictures with people or like be like, but like I've seen, I've seen people like come in and then like, I've seen someone like take a picture with like a big influencer and be like hitting back with so-and-so today. And I'm like, you literally just came up and took a picture with them. You know what I mean? Or like, and that's the thing that I'm just like, whatever, like, you know, and it's just like, you can't be bothered about it because it's annoying and frustrating because it's like, and we've talked about this before, like we don't have a ton of Instagram followers, right? We don't really have a ton of Instagram followers and we don't walk around being like, oh, we're influencers, right? Like my passion is being a coach and a trainer, and then influencing is kind of like second, right? That's kind of like, it comes along with the job title of being like a coach is like, okay, influencing people. And there's like, you know, I influence people based on things that I do myself or that I believe in or I think about and things like that. But I don't do it, you know, I don't do it based on that other stuff. Right. I think that there's a lot of people that kind of like clout chase and stuff like that. And I think that it's kind of I think it's kind of frustrating. It's like,
I feel like it's more frustrating when like you meet an influencer and like they're just like totally opposite to like who they are. Like,
I mean, that's everyone.
15 seconds. Yeah, I know.
That's
but like,
everyone.
To me, it's like, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm very just like myself, regardless of like if it's in front of someone or in front of a camera. Like I'm always myself, like no matter what. So to me, it just like blows my mind that there are really people that are like that. Because like if I have a bad encounter or interaction with this person, like how do they know that I'm not their fan?
Right.
Right.
Well, Here's what I think. If you're going to be an influencer and you have a large following and stuff like that, it's part of your obligation to be someone that spreads positive vibes. You know what I mean? It's part of being who you are to be like nice and friendly to people and like not being like rude or like, I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. Like if I had 100K followers on Instagram or something like that, or I was in a influencer role or something like that, where like I saw a lot more people in this and that, I think that I would definitely make a really conscious effort to just be really positive to all the people that I met. Cause like I said, like when I went to the gym and like had people come out to me and just be like, dude, I love your physique or this and that, that was like such a good experience for me. Now imagine if someone with 100K followers is just like, dude, that was an awesome squat or this and that. And like, that's happened before too. Like the other day I was leaving the gym and Sush was like, dude, you look really tan, because I've been tanning and stuff like that. And he follows me and whatnot. He was like, dude, you look really tan. And it's like, those little things go a long way. And it's like, I don't try and like clout chase off him. I don't try and I don't hang out with him or whatever, but like we'll have our interactions in the gym and I'll just be like, oh, what's up, man? Like, how's it going? Like just like small talk and stuff like that. And that's why I think that he's such a great influencer, because he does that stuff. Like he's very,
James are very like,
they're very mature. They're very like, they're very mature. They're very just like, oh, what's up, man? Like they're very positive and stuff like that. And that's what I kind of like love about it. But there's other people that are just like that. Again, that experience that you had,
they just like take
where people are just like really rude. Like, oh, I'm making a TikTok. Get out of my way. Like, excuse you.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't care if you're making a TikTok. I don't care who you are. I gotta go pee. Move.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's just that. But that's
literally
a
just
frustrating
blew my
thing.
mind. I was like, that did not just happen.
Yeah.
Like,
that's frustrating for sure. But it's just, and again, what you give out is what you get back. Right. So these influencers are really positive, always spreading like good vibes and stuff like that. And I think that there's a lot of influencers that I know of that try and like spread good vibes and stuff like that, but you can tell when someone's really genuine about it. You know what I mean? You can tell when someone's genuinely like trying to like help other people or give good advice or this or that versus just being like, you know, there's a lot of influencers that are sponsored by brands and being like, oh, I take this supplement and you guys need to do it. And that's their method of influencing and stuff like that, is getting people to purchase things and whatnot.
What frustrates me is that like I influence basically just being myself, right? And just being very open with whoever follows me. And what frustrates me is that there are people that used to be associated like with our circle, and they like literally take what I post, even though it's just like me being me, and they go and post it. And I'm just like, can you just be yourself, please?
Yeah.
Just
see,
stop.
and that's an example of someone that you can tell is just like fake about that. You know what I mean? Like fake about the content that they post, or like they're in a position where now they're starting to influence people, and it's like they have to put on a face. Yeah. They have to put on a face, like, you know what I mean? Like, again, and that's why we do this podcast. That's why we talk to people like about who we are, right? And I think that that's some of the feedback that we've gotten that we've appreciated the most, is people just being like, you're like so open and so like genuine about the things that we talk about. Like, you know, when I started taking steroids, I very openly talked about it on my YouTube, and I made sure that like I post back, because I didn't want to be like, you know, being a coach and a trainer, right? Like I take mine for the purpose of trying to compete more competitively in bodybuilding. That's why I take mine. And so I didn't want people to like look at me as a coach and just be like, oh, well, you got a lot of your success from steroids. It's like, it definitely helped for sure. But like, I mean, I still eat, I still train, I still get my sleep, I still do all that type of stuff.
As hard as a person who
and I literally, I had a guy DM me last night, and he was like, oh, I didn't know you took gear. Like, you know, no disrespect, but like, you know, I thought you were natural. And I was like, oh no, for sure, man. Like I'm, you know, like, yeah, like I take gear, and like, I'm pretty open about that. You know what I mean? And if anyone asks like what I take, you know, I tell them, you know what I mean? And I think that goes a long way. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just being genuine and positive. And I've always kind of been myself. Like, so for example, for the longest time, and this is what I love about you, is for the longest time, like I was so ashamed of kind of being like nerdy, right? Like I grew up nerdy. Like for any of you guys that didn't know, like I was homeschooled.
Even when I first met him, I didn't even know he liked Legos.
Joe's a nerd. Yeah. I'm a big nerd. Like I love all things Marvel, Star Wars. Like, yeah, like I'm just a nerd. And so, and for the longest time, I was just like, no, like I'm out of middle school now. Like I can't do that or whatever. But it's like, I get really into the Marvel movies. Like I'm looking forward to Doctor Strange. That's all I'm literally talking about.
And I can literally hear it on the TV. I'm like, what are you watching now?
I'll put like a Doctor Strange trailer breakdown on the TV, and I'll be like, babe, did you see this hidden Easter egg detail? Like,
I'm like, what are you talking about?
But I'm so nerdy, and that's what I love about you, is because like, you know, I'm able to kind of express that. And like I've expressed that before, like on social media, because I remember for the longest time I was just like, no, like I have to put on this face of like, all I do is like eat, sleep, train, like, you know, very aesthetic. And now like I just kind of post like whatever I kind of want. And I'm just like, okay, you know, like, and I'm nerdy about that. And that's, you know, like we openly do that. So then that's what I love about you, is because like, you know, you openly do it too. Like we'll be very nerdy about like a movie or TV show. And I think it's a maturity thing. And I've had experiences in the past. Like I've had another influencer in the past, like just call me out for just like also not call me out, but just like, you know, really saying a lot of immature things. It's just like, what's the fucking point of doing that? Like, okay, thanks. Like, thanks for being a dick.
That, like, people that go out of their way to say like negative things to you and like bring you down is because they don't like to see you up. Like, so in their eyes, you're up here and they're down here. So they have to bring you to their level.
Right. And that's why, you know, sometimes when I start going off on these rants, I'm just like, whatever, just to each their own. And that's what we're trying to do here. We're just kind of like, okay, just to each their own, because again, but I mean, it is frustrating. Like at a certain point, like you don't like have to take that type of stuff. You know what I mean? I feel
like that's also why I like obviously came out about like, because I got a lot of questions like, oh, like why did you talk about like your boob job and stuff like that? Because to me, I rather just be myself completely, and obviously it's gonna like people are gonna be able to tell, and I wouldn't want to like post like a workout or something and people were like, oh, how'd you get your chest or your boobs so big? Oh,
and you just ignore their comment?
I just did chest workouts. Like no, like I literally got a boob job. That's literally it. And I'd rather just be like open about it, because to me, I'm an open person, and I feel like if I weren't to like speak about that or be open about that, it would just take away from who I am.
Now, and this is something else too. And I think that we'll finish off with this topic here is, so obviously you started your OnlyFans, right?
Right.
And you didn't try and hide it or anything like that. You're just kind of open about it. What's your experience kind of been so far with that? And I know, because like, I remember when you posted about it, I know you said that you lost a bunch of followers when you posted about it. And I was like, that's interesting, because I don't think guys would unfollow you about it.
Yeah.
So you probably lost a lot of female followers, which is interesting, because it's just kind of like, and again, with other people that kind of ruin it, like, oh, she has an OnlyFans, what a piece of shit, right? Other people kind of ruin it, but it's not.
The one person that I look up to is Jazzy Fit.
Yeah.
Because she's just someone that I like gravitate towards, because
she makes bank on her OnlyFans. Fuck.
But also because she just does not care. Like I remember watching one of her YouTube videos, and she's like talking about it, and she's like, there's nothing wrong with like being sexy and just feeling confident in your own skin. And for me, I feel like I was always scared to be that, because I was afraid of what others were going to think. Like, oh, she's so provocative, or she's this, she's that. Like, why is she acting that way? When in reality, there's literally nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. And I can confirm that since you've had your OnlyFans and stuff like that, you've been a lot more confident in like how you dress and how you talk to yourself, and the self-love that you've given yourself. It's been reflective into our relationship. Like, you're just a lot more confident about who you are, what you're wearing, like your body in particular. And just like, I love that. You know what I mean? Like, I love when you're confident about that and stuff like that.
I also feel like, of course, like the porn industry or whatever took over OnlyFans. So I feel like they created a bad rep for it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to bash the porn industry or whatever, but I'm just saying that it has a reputation, and because like I started it, I feel like people thought like I was doing those things, even though I wasn't. Like half of my captions are literally clickbait.
Yeah. I mean, you have to.
I could literally post all the pictures that I have on my OnlyFans on Instagram, and I would be fine.
Yeah.
Like it's literally nothing bad.
Yeah.
But obviously if you're reading the captions, it's gonna be like, oh my God, Liz, why are you saying those things?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really clickbait. That's just how you learn.
I mean, we clickbait these episodes, right?
Yeah.
We clickbait the episodes to get people to talk, and it's just
how social
it's a
media
it's a
is.
marketing strategy. It's a marketing strategy. That's all it is. I mean, like, if you look at Max Tuning's videos, you know how much clickbait he puts in his videos. Like, we broke up, and he's talking about like him and dude or something like that, like just stupid shit. Like, I have a big secret to tell you, and it's like, you're like, oh my gosh, like what's happening? And he's just like, I bought a new couch or something like that, and you're like, oh, this was the fucking clickbait. But again, it's like, it's just a marketing tool, so there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I don't know. I found it surprising that you've done that. And I mean, I remember at first you were like, why the fuck would I lose so many followers? I was just like, honestly, if you're going to lose followers over that,
I was upset about
that's
it
a good
at
thing.
first, but then I was like, you know what? It's fine. Like, obviously I know who my supporters are and who supports me for who I am and my journey. And if those people don't want to see, then that's fine.
Last thing here, because I keep kind of going off, but I feel like this is kind of important. Do you think that, you're a little bit more introverted, right? So you're not super big on like going up to like people and like just making friends with every single person that you see, right? And I'm a little bit more extroverted, but I'm just a little bit like busier, right? And it's like, I don't just go up to a bunch of random people because, to me, I'm just like, I got to have a connection with that person. I don't want to just jump in their friend group and be like, oh, I'm friends with so-and-so, right? And just like not really like hang out with them or whatever. So like for both of us, we don't really have like hardly any like close friends, right? Especially like kind of down here.
I would say now I do. Like I have my girls.
You have a group of girls, right? But I wouldn't say that like we have like a big group of friends or whatever.
Sometimes I feel like it's better to have a small group than to have a huge group.
Well, I mean, yes, I agree for sure. But I'm just saying that like I would say if there's 30 days in a month, 29 of those days are me and you just kind of hanging out here at home, having date nights, like wine and pizza, watching a movie or this and that. Like we don't really.
Fridays we have our taco.
We have taco night Fridays. Yeah, taco Fridays. But like we don't really go out and do things like with friends and stuff like that. Now, do you feel that the reason why, or like, do you feel that? Because I mean, I don't think we're horrible people to be like friends with. I don't think that we don't need to do that. But do you think that we don't? Do you think that we don't attract friends because of like how close you and I are? And B, do you think that we don't attract friends because like we don't go out and try and make it a point to be like fake and fit in with someone else's circle? Like us being ourselves, we attract the people that fit in with kind of us and that them being themselves and stuff like that, which is great. But do you think that, because I mean, we're around a lot of big influencers, right? We're a lot of stuff like that. And do you think that it would be different if we made it a very big point to like try and fit in with those groups?
I don't know. Like, so for me, I'm definitely never been the type of person to go out of my way and like change who I am to fit in a certain group.
Yeah.
Like, that's just never been something that I've ever done or wanted to do, just because I feel like it would make me uncomfortable, or like I wouldn't know what to say or how to act around those people.
Right.
So for me, like not having like being a part of those groups is okay with me, because like I said, I'd rather have a small circle than have a huge circle. And I feel like it also has to do with like my past of like having, like being close with like my friends back home, and then our circle getting really big, and then just like more problems started, like more drama started. This person was talking about this person.
Yeah.
And then ended up talking about me. And then like it just goes back and forth. And obviously we've seen it here as well, where that big circle falls apart.
Yeah.
And then they choose sides.
Yeah.
So I rather just have a small circle with who I know I can actually trust and be myself around, than be around around a huge circle and change who I am.
Yeah. And the reason I kind of said this is because I was thinking about this, I think yesterday, is I was like, okay, because you were at work and I was just chilling here by myself, and I was like, I don't really I could go out right now and like go hang out with friends. And I was like, I don't know who I'd go hang out with. Like, I don't really have like close friends that I hang out with, because again, like, I don't know. It's either that I'm too busy, so I can't hang out most of the time, so I just quit getting invited basically. But at the same time too, like, I don't have like a lot. I don't have I don't have a single person that I'm like close with that like has similar interests in me, or like similar interests as me, that like I can go out and like hang out with. And it's usually because like, I have you, right? So, but yeah, I don't have like close friends that, I don't feel like I can like hang out with and stuff like that. And I think it is, partly is because like I'm a lot closer with you. So I don't really like a lot of the guy friends that I've had like to go out and get drunk on like Fridays and Saturday nights or something like that. But I don't know. That's just not my crowd.
Yeah.
Something like that. But at the same time too, like, I think it would be fun to like hang out with some of these other influencers that like we see pretty often, or like other people and stuff like that. But like at the same time too, I don't know. I just don't feel like I fit in with that circle, because it's like, we don't go out to the club on Fridays and Saturday nights when they go out. Right. Like our sense, and I was talking to you about this yesterday, because you came home from work and I had planned like pizza and wine night, and we literally built Legos, had pizza and wine, and then we sat and watched a movie, and like that was our Friday night. And I was like, do you wish that like we went out and like kind of like went out to the club and this and that? And you were like, I mean, kind of like yes and no. Like, yeah, I think it would be fun, but at the same time too, it's like this is a lot more enjoyable too.
Yeah.
And so for some of you guys out there that maybe like don't have like these great friend groups or this and that, like it's okay to kind of like do your own thing. Right? Like Alyssa and I were kind of talking about that, like how
it's okay to be alone.
It's okay to kind of like do our own thing. Like it's okay to be like, on your own. Like we've been in the groups with all these people going out and doing this, this, and this, and this. We've done that. And it's like, I don't know, for me, where I'm at in my life, it's just focusing on growing my business, is focusing on becoming a better person, focusing on my fitness, this and that. And so like those other things are just kind of like, they just don't support that, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
And so, I know for the longest time, I constantly tried to change who I was to try and fit in with a certain group of influencers or a certain group of people that I was like, oh, it would be so like, how much clout I could get if I was part of this group, or this person has so many followers, I want to hang out with them or do this and that with them. And it always just turned out to just be like horrible. And then I lost the good friends that I did have, because I was trying to fit in with a group that didn't give a fuck about me. And honestly, that's what it is most of the time, is a lot of these big groups, like they have their close friends and they have these other people that like tag along with them, but it's just kind of like their close people are the ones that they're there for, and the tag alongs, it's like they could show up, they could not, they don't really care. They're not missing out on anything. You know what I mean? Right. They're not missing them. And so I do kind of think that sometimes like, well, we don't make a really conscious effort to go out there and like be best friends with every single person out there. So I think that kind of, we don't get a lot of people that are just like, oh yeah, like invite Joe and Alyssa and stuff like that.
I definitely rubbed off on you, and I tell you not to be that way anymore, because when I first met you, you definitely were like that.
Yeah.
But I also feel like it just has to do with like our like being raised a certain way. Because you were like the only boy.
I was homeschooled.
Yeah, you were homeschooled.
I didn't have friends.
The only boy. I was the oldest.
So like, okay.
And not homeschooled.
Well, so like I was homeschooled, and I didn't really have friends. So my entire journey in college was, let me change who I am and like go out and try and meet friends and this and that. And it just got me into more trouble than it was worth.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I grew a lot from those experiences. But at the same time too, it's like, I don't know. It's like where I'm at now, like I'm perfectly fine with coming home and like hanging out with you. Now, if I was single, it'd be a different scenario because I'd be like, okay, well, I'm gonna go out with friends and this and that. And I know your face was just like, oh, if you were single, huh?
I would be going out with my girls.
I know. Shalissa would be out every fucking night, huh? But I think that that's a great thing is, we hold each other down and to that aspect. And I think that that's a really good thing. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to, for other people that follow us, right, that maybe are in that situation where you're trying to get into fitness or you're trying to get into whatever it is, if you're pretty serious in college and you're trying to figure out what you want to do or this and that, like it's okay to separate yourself from the group. Because I remember you did that when you started dating me. You separated yourself from a lot of your friends that you had back home.
From like big groups helps you realize who you are and
yes,
what you need.
100%.
And what direction you want to go in.
And you can always make a big group after, right? You can always go back to a group.
Go back, make amends with your friends. I'm not saying like, oh, don't be friends with them, but I'm just saying like separate yourself from that group and figure out who you are, like who you truly are.
Right. I think that's important. I think that is important again. And this is what we said, and this is what we'll finish off with is you can't give love to other people if you don't love yourself or you don't know who you are, right? Like if you're not, if you're not able to know who you are and what you want, you can't give that to other people, your friends around you and stuff like that. Yeah. I think that that's really important.
Yeah. And you can't be the best version of yourself if you don't even know what you truly need.
Yeah. You need, right? And so for the longest time, what we needed is we just needed time together and stuff like that. But even now too, it's like, it's just like, I'm not mad that I'm not out. Literally everyone that we knew last night was out like clubbing and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, yeah, that'd be fun. But it's like, I think it's fun with the right group of people.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, you and I would not be like, oh, let's go on a date. Let's go out to the club, you and I together, and just stand there awkwardly.
We low-key should. That actually might be really fun.
We were just you were talking about how you'd much rather go to like a nice dinner or something like that.
That, or I'd rather just go with our friends and eat like tacos, have some margs.
I'm trying to take you out with a new draft.
New draft? You're trying to draft me
in one of your new dresses to get them boobies to pop out.
Oh my God, I hate you.
We were supposed to be in Tampa this weekend with you in bikinis. That would have been fun.
I know. I was supposed to be tan, but now I'm white.
I'm basically darker than you now.
I know.
Milano tan doing wonders. Alrighty, guys, we're gonna finish off with that. We just that was chaotic, but I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, guys, smash the like button. Make sure you guys subscribe. It does help us out a lot. Leave a comment on this video. Tell us what you guys think. Have you guys had experiences with fake friends in your circle, fake influencers?
If you need advice, I'll give you advice. I promise. I respond to everyone.
You don't respond to me. But yeah, as always, guys, stay tuned. More episodes coming and some guest features coming up too.
Guest features. Also, thank you for listening to us rant.
Of course. We'll get better at not ranting so much.
Yes. Bye, guys.
Bye.